Welcome, friends. Today, we are doing a top 10 most worn autumn and winter 2024 to 2025 list. Madness. That is right, friends. Once again, I have returned to you, this time with another most worn list. So I do very few lists. I'll throw one in every once in a while. They are cool sometimes, you know. It's just the way that they've been utilised and bastardised in the fragrance community is pretty shocking. Now everything's a fucking list all the time, and just the most pointless and grasping lists possible. This list is based on true events. These are my most worn fragrances from autumn and winter. If you are unsure why I have put autumn and winter together, I split my collection in two. I have autumn and winter fragrances and I have spring and summer fragrances. And it's completely arbitrary. It's just what I think suits different seasons, you know. Some fragrances can move between them, but very few. Some can't. But here is my list, and these are the ones based on true events, true to life. My top 10 most worn. And in number 10, we have a tie. And the first fragrance is Belle Homme by Les Abstraits. And the second fragrance is Real Patchouli Eau de Toilette by Bois 1920. So these are two different fragrances. They do share one facet though for me, and that's the slightly chocolatey vibe that they both give. Different chocolatey vibes, but there is chocolate I get from both of them. There's like a cacao powder sort of thing I get from Belle Homme, and from the Bois 1920 I get a more syrupy, rich, earthy, thick, dark chocolate sort of thing. I have constrained myself on what I can say about Belle Homme, as this bottle was from Eugene, who was my friend, and it would be very hypocritical of me to say and condemn people for talking about free stuff, and how, again, the fragrance community has been co-opted and bastardized by advertising and money. So I shan't be discussing the Belle Homme, but the Real Patchouli is one of, if not my favourite patchouli fragrance. But this is the Eau de Toilette. I have a video about this fragrance and my experience with Bois 1920. I bought this patchouli fragrance, a fantastic one. I bought a backup bottle online, and when I received it, it was in an Eau de Parfum bottle, but this, no. When I received it, it was in an Eau de Toilette box, but the perfume inside was an Eau de Parfum. There is a world of difference between the two. The Eau de Toilette is fantastic, but you cannot trust what it says on the box. I bought Real Patchouli Eau de Toilette box sealed, and inside it was an Eau de Parfum. There are other cases of people having experienced this. You just have to do a little bit of digging online, but I'm not the only one, and it's a massive shame. Excuse me whilst I hydrate. It's literally, you can't believe what it says on the box. So I cannot recommend this house or buying this fragrance, but if you can get an unboxed one where it says Eau de Toilette on the bottom, I absolutely love this stuff. The fragrance is brilliant, but I just won't engage with the brand anymore, you know, which is a shame. It's an absolute shame, as I say, because this is what a fragrance it is. probably my favourite patchouli. Okay. Next up, we have a very different fragrance. And this is Chanel Antaeus pour Homme. There was never an Antaeus pour Femme. But this is Antaeus for him. One of the great fragrances. I absolutely love this stuff. Chanel is known for making certain style of fragrances, and this is one of them, but it's one of their darkest, if not their darkest fragrance. This and Cuir de Russie. The Cuir de Russie is for ladies, or it was supposed to be anyway when it was first brought out, but you can wear whatever you like. This is rose, castoreum, and patchouli. This is one of the my bottle's about 6 or 7 years old now. I've got vintage backups, but I absolutely love this one. The castoreum has been dialed right back, and the patchouli's more amped up, and it's dark and dank patchouli. It's not chocolatey, but it's dank. It's rich. It's thick. The rose in there is fantastic. There's labdanum. It's a little bit goopy. It's resinous. There's myrrh, jasmine. That rose jasmine heart, like floral heart of like Chanel's is very present, and it's very classy but dark and growly. It smells like a well-dressed man with a hairy chest. You know? Beautiful fragrance. I absolutely love this shit. Very classy, very well poised. Next up, number 8. Number 8, we have another Chanel. And this is Egoiste Cologne Concentrate. This is one of the few fragrances from Chanel that's ever been discontinued. I get an absolutely gorgeous, like really rich, syrupy orange blossom mandarin at the top, that kind of gloopy, orangey kind of feel. Very thick, a little bit sweet, woody, slightly spicy, lots of sandalwood, lots of cinnamon, rose. It is sweet, but it's not sucrose sweet. It's very naturally sweet. It still pulls off this trick of being a little bit airy too. There's something of the outdoors about this fragrance, you know? Being in a forest of big trees which are quite well spaced from each other. Like, there's air, but it's also heavily scented, you know? It's hard to like verbally describe the tricks that some perfumes can pull. It's a little bit vanillic. The performance is absolutely tremendous. It's very comforting and warm during autumn and winter. I think you can wear this in both seasons, maybe not at the very beginning, you know, in early September when it's still warm, but October, November, December, January, February, it's perfect for that. Absolutely perfect. I love this stuff. If you can find samples of this stuff, or give it a try, give it a wear, you know. See if you can get some samples of it, try it. Very hard to find now. I had to get mine from Japan. Outrageous. Okay, next up, number 7. Number 7, I thought this would be higher, but apparently not. This is Lone Star Memories. I think this could be my favourite tower. It doesn't get the love that Leather Desert Marrakein used to get, or even still gets, which is still a phenomenal perfume, by the way. But it should. It's dark, it's oily, it's smoky, it's green, it's clean. It's got a cleanliness to it, but like a chemical cleanliness to it, like a cleansed with fire kind of vibe. I forget what the blurb says, but I think it's something to do with like a sandalwood, like a cowboy, like having a fire, making some coffee. There's resins in here as well, make it quite round. I get some vetiver. I don't know if there's meant to be vetiver in here, but I get quite a lot of green vetiver. Almost mentholated. There's geranium. It's an absolutely brilliant feat of perfume, and it's perfect for playing cowboy games on the PlayStation if you're into such things, which I am, you know. It's got that Fahrenheit vibe where you have got oil on your hands and you've rubbed it on your jeans to clean your hands off a bit, but your hands have still got oil on them, and now so have your jeans, you know. Next up, number 6, I think. Yeah, number 6. Number 6 should come as no surprise to anyone. This is an absolutely incredible fragrance, and I love it, and I shall continue to wear it. And this is Cuir Cannage. Cuir Cannage is Dior's answer to Cuir de Russie. I actually like this a lot more, if I'm being honest, because this I find a lot easier to wear. I think it's the iris, but I also love the orange blossom at the top. Thick, rich, again, much like the Cologne Concentrate, like this kind of mandarin orange blossom syrupy kind of vibe. Dense and floral. But then it's also got that Chanel heart thing going on. Rose, jasmine, iris. Very classy, very sophisticated. And then there's this huge leather. And the leather is both clean and dirty at the same time. It's classy, it's old, but it's still intact. I think Demaché's inspiration was like his grandmother's handbag or something, or a makeup bag, and opening it and smelling the iris lipstick and this old leather. There's birch. This was only released, 10, 11 years ago, 2014. And it's so far removed from anything that you would ever find in perfume today. You would never find anything like this released today, you know? Which is a bizarre thought to have, that in only 10 years, perfume's gone from like this to the shit that gets released today, which I'm not a fan of. I really don't like it. This is much more classical perfume. We all wanted rid of Demacché at the end because the stuff he was making was absolutely terrible. And then just when you think things can only get better, they suddenly get worse. And Dior appointed Francis Kirkjohn. How did we let that happen? Anyway, top five. And frankly, I'm surprised this next one isn't actually higher, if I'm being honest. I'm actually quite surprised this one isn't higher. And this is Incense Avignon. I wore a lot of this in the autumn, actually, thinking back. released in 2002. It is one of Bertrand Duchefaux's Incense series for Comme des Garçons. It did Ouazazate, Zagorsk, Jaisalma, and Kyoto. I actually own Kyoto as well. I'm looking forward to wearing that in the spring this year. I get that frankincense elemi thing. At the top, it's very bracing and fresh and lovely. And then it dries down something a lot more kind of resinous, slightly woody, a little bit of patchouli, much more rounded, soft, ambery in the base. But that top, aldehydes, maybe pepper, spice. The elemi's quite bracing, so that like clears you out, you know. The performance on this is really good. It's got a good dose of ISO-E Super in there as well, or it certainly feels that way, which is fine when it's used like this, you know. It just holds the whole fragrance together. These bottles drive me mad because you can't tell how much you've got left. I'm guessing there's about between half and 2/3 left in there, so maybe like 30 ml. But this is a wonderful perfume, you know. It's still available. Not sure what the new bottles are like, but it's very lovely, you know. It's very lovely, and I'm looking forward to wearing Kyoto, which I have up there in front of me. Oh, that's so good. It's really strange how incense is like known throughout the world. It's used all over the place, isn't it? Like back from times when the world was a much bigger place. Anywho, number 4. Number 4 is a fragrance that I would expect a lot of people have in their top 10s. And this is Vanille Havane. Vanille Havane by Les Indomptables. This is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful perfume. This is probably the best of the decade and one of the best of the century. I think this perfume keeps Les Indomptables in business. It's like a lot of houses. I mean, basically, it is to Les Indomptables what Aventus was to Creed. You know, obviously Creed, like Aventus, was on another stratosphere to almost everything else. But this is an absolutely sensational perfume. I much prefer this as well, but it's more my style too. It's ambery. There's booze at the top. It's a little bit fruity. It's warm. It's rich. There's tobacco. There's chocolate, vanilla. It's a little bit floral in there. It's just absolutely pitch perfect. The perfumery, the actual skill with which Antoine Lee has put this together, combined with the materials and the vision from Remy and Valerie, it's wonderful. And it's the only perfume they offer in 100 mils. So that is going to be available soon, at which point I will probably get one. You know, I will probably get one. I love this house, as people know. It's tremendous. I can't really fault it. There's a couple of their perfumes that I'm a bit iffy about, but apart from that, I think everything they've done's just been magnifique. Get the sample set, friends. Get the sample set. See if you like them. See if you would like to buy any. Okay. Next up, we have from the same house at number 3. I was surprised when I saw this. This is Patchouli Noisette. Now, when I said before that there's a couple of perfumes from this house that I was a bit iffy about. This is one of them. I'm not a massive fan of this, if I'm being honest. I find this quite a difficult perfume to wear, and yet it is my third most worn perfume. And if I was to be honest, it's my least favourite perfume on this list. I've used quite a lot of it, and I don't hate it, and I don't hate wear it. So I don't wear it because, like, I hate it. I want to get to know it better. I'm convinced there's really nice perfume in there. You know? I'm convinced there's a really nice perfume in there. I love the patchouli that's used in there. It's the same patchouli that that Amouage use in Jubilation 40. I love the idea of the hazelnut, but it's very quiet. It comes through every once in a while. It is very subtle, but I'm convinced they filled this with an amber wood. I'm convinced they filled this up with an amber wood. There is a Middle Eastern vibe to this perfume that I really struggle to get over. There is something of like the Desert Gems by Frederic Malle. You know, there's that Middle Eastern fake oud aspect. If it had rose in it and saffron, this would be a complete no-go for me. It's a little bit rough. It's scratchy. Yet aspects of it are absolutely wonderful. There are parts of this fragrance that I love. It's just the whole is very difficult. And I don't think I'm going to sell it. I think I'm just going to use it up and keep trying to get to know it and review it, you know? I don't hate wearing it. I just find it more difficult than other fragrances, you know? Anyway, that was number 3. Number 2. Number 2 is a fragrance that is familiar to everyone who watches this channel and is probably familiar to a lot of people who don't watch this channel. This is one of my very favourite fragrances. It is a brilliant fragrance from back when this house used to be absolutely brilliant. And this is Tobacco Oud by Tom Ford. This is my 50ml, my second 50ml, and look how much is left in there. It's not a lot, friends. I may very well get through that in autumn and winter coming up. Fortunately, I have backup bottles. Thank God they stopped making 100ml of this, so I ended up going around buying loads of 100ml when they were going out of fashion. So I'm glad I got to do that. This is this is like Amber Absolute by Tom Ford, but it's got more than just those resins and spices and incense that's in those fragrances. It's got all of that, but it's got this wonderful tobacco kind of dank patchouli, warm, slightly sweet from this boozy whiskey kind of note. The benzoin. It's dark. It's chic. It's very attractive. It's a little bit creamy. And it's perfect for the autumn and the winter. It's absolutely perfect for autumn and winter, especially in Britain. You know, long dark nights. temperatures getting colder, rain, wind. This will keep you warm and safe, friends. It will keep you warm and safe, and you will smell good while you do it. You know, it will smell good while you do it. That is number 2. Number 2 on my most worn Tobacco Oud. And now, drum roll please. Number 1. Just checking how much is left in this bottle. It's not that much. Number 1, my most worn fragrance from autumn and winter 2025 is Balenciaga Pour Homme. This is my favourite fragrance. For a long time I resisted saying that. You know, I didn't want to be tied down to one fragrance as my favourite. But if I'm being honest, this is it. You know, this is my favourite fragrance. I love this. I think this is an absolute masterpiece. It absolutely tanked when it came out in 1990. They could not give this stuff away. The times had changed. I think that this was both ahead and behind its times. Ahead of and behind the times. Huge cinnamon opening. Spicy, a little bit green, a little bit fresh in the opening. But the star of the show is this gigantic patchouli note. Huge, green, brown, fruity, thick, rich patchouli note. And it is surrounded by like this swirling atmosphere of oak moss, honey, cinnamon, cypress, galbanum, sandalwood, vanilla. All of these other notes bringing out all these different parts of the patchouli. It's not a dry and scratchy patchouli. It's thick, it's rich, it's potent, it's fresh, it's warm. It's an absolute feat of perfume, and it is the reason why I own and have owned quite a few of the Gerard Anthony perfumes. He made Azaro Pour Homme about 16 years before this. He made Courageous Homme. He made some other perfumes. He's made quite a lot of perfumes. Very distinguished perfumer, you know. Very famous in perfume circles. I think he might also teach. He made a lot of perfumes you've never heard of too, which is strange, you know. One of those mysterious perfumers. Like I said, the performance on this is massive. It's very hard to find now. Partially, people blame me because it's so hard to find, because I do have a lot of backups of this. But as this video shows, I wear a lot of this. And I will continue to wear a lot of this. And I will continue to love this stuff. It is awesome. I'm nearly finished this 100ml bottle. I think I've got about 20 to 25ml left. At which point I will just simply crack open another one and start again. I never want to be without this fragrance, you know. It's the reason that I buy backups. Even though I've been selling backups of a lot of other fragrances, I've not sold any backups of this. I love the bottle. I love the presentation. It's just very, very 1990. Straddling two eras, the 80s and the 90s, and the perfume feels like that. You'd like to think it would appeal to both sides, but really what happens when you compromise like that is that it appeals to neither. And it's only now getting the recognition it deserves. And apparently, the first ever commercial use of oud in a perfume. That is it, my friends. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon.